This is it, people. This is what you've been waiting for. This is Everyday Celebrity Podcast. The podcast for everyday people with everyday problems, trying to find everyday solutions to accomplish everyday goals. Let's start the show. Welcome to another episode of Everyday Celebrity Podcast. Number one podcast in Oakland, number one podcast in the Bay Area, but I might have some competition. She might think otherwise. Today joining me is a very special guest. She is an actress. She is a music artist. She also has a podcast. She is a model. She is a producer. She is a black belt in karate. She's also a pilot. I'm joking, them last two ain't true. But KedlaMuzik, welcome to the show.
Hello. How are you?
How are you doing this afternoon?
Pretty good, Jordan. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, you are like, I've interviewed a lot of people, normal people, but you're like you're normal as well, but you're probably like the most established person that I've interviewed just by your background and what you have accomplished.
Thank you.
Can you tell the people, I named it all down, but you want to give a rundown of your attributes?
Yeah, so nurse, pilot, I'm just kidding. No, so I'm a hip hop artist, actress, producer, TV host, podcaster, writer, just anything that involves entertainment. And, I love what I do. It's fun. It's a passion. You know what I mean? And that's why I've been doing it for so long because I can't see myself doing anything else. So I'm just like a ball of talent, you know what I mean? Just ready to explode. Did
you get your start in the Bay Area?
Yeah, I'm actually born and raised in San Jose. I started acting when I was 5 years old. That's when I had my first headshots, talent agent, went to acting schools. Mom used to pull me out of class, for auditions and stuff for Kellogg's, Cheerios, Lucky Charms.
So commercials and shit.
Yeah, commercials, yeah. And I just remember as a kid, I wasn't really feeling it. I was just kind of this is boring. I have to learn how to, memorize these words and know what they mean and talk in front of a whole bunch of people. And so after a while, I stopped doing that. But then I just caught the acting bug, the entertainment bug, and I started modeling after that.
So wait. So when you were a child actor, you stopped. What age were you when you started again?
Let's see. So yeah, I started at 5, stopped around 10, and then I started back again when I was 13. When I was 13, 14. So pretty much after I finished middle school. So yeah, middle school, I went to a couple of modeling auditions, but it wasn't that serious. I was more worried about trying to be, cool and, dress like TLC and shit. But 13, 14, yes, when I picked it back up. Okay. Yeah.
Were you doing commercials when you picked it back up, or did you move up doing?
No, I moved up. That's when I started doing, fashion shows, and I started recording music, and I started writing a lot more. And I even was managing other artists too. I just I was multitasking just like I am now. And as I progressed, I always like to say Kelda Williams was born in San Jose, the little square girl from the suburbs. But KedlaMuzik Diva was born in Oakland. And so that was in 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you started music, right? You were what made you randomly start music when you were acting?
I love performing, love writing, love rapping, tried a little singing or whatever. that did what it did. And I even circled back to it and cut a few R&B tracks, but that was just for fun. But I love rapping. I love writing, and I like taking care of business. For some reason, I like paperwork and shit, and like making calls and sending emails and connecting people with other people. You know what I mean? So I do a little behind the scenes too, just like you said, producer. So yeah. And
you got a record contract, right?
I had a contract with KedlaMuzik years ago. And then I broke that contract. It was through a label called X Records, and they went through KedlaMuzik. And Malika was a major independent, They like did a lot of re-releases for artists that had hits like in the early 2000s and 90s and stuff. But I was just happy to be on, an established label. Yeah. But that did what it did. I released one single, Queen for a Night.
How did the record contract come about? How did you land that?
Well, we shopped. Me and my PR team, my management team, we were shopping, and I was shopping. And then finally, this guy from X Records, he was like, "Yeah, I'll sign you, and I have distribution through KedlaMuzik, so you'll be on an independent major, and you could start releasing music with us." And I was like, "All right, cool," but what I've come to realize, because I studied a lot about, major labels, independent labels, production companies, whatever, management. And I realized, I'm like, being with this major independent label is cool, whatever, for the stamp, for the, representation, whatever. But I'm like, I need funding for my music, for the promotion, the marketing, the PR. And at the time, I got booked to go to Japan to open up for R&B singer Lloyd. It was Lloyd, Kid Ink, and a few other cats. But, when I tried asking X Records, hey, can you guys help fund the promotion, the PR for me in Tokyo? And they were just like, oh, let's see what we can do. And, it was just kind of like, okay, you guys obviously don't have it like that. So so I, took another avenue when I...
Did you go?
Oh, yeah. That was in 2012. That was a while back.
Wait a minute. So let's talk about that. So how was that?
Well, before that, I want to tell you, I got booked in the Caribbean 4 times too to perform. But
before Japan.
Yeah, before Japan. Yeah, that started in 2008, and that was when Nicki Minaj came out and she was popping, because a lot of people back then didn't know what to do with female rappers. I was like an outcast. I was something special. You know what I mean? And people were just like, I wouldn't know how to market you. I wouldn't know how to promote you. You know what I mean? Even being here in Oakland, I used to get booked for a lot of showcases and stuff. But once we started doing outreach internationally, that's when things actually started popping. And that's when I got my first booking in Barbados, and then St. Martin, and then Antigua twice. And in Antigua, I opened up for some of their reggae artists. I opened up for a major artist. You might know him. His name is Jah Cure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Yes. Oh, God, I love Jah Cure. Yeah.
Did you meet him?
Yeah. Hung out with him and everything. He's cool. Okay. We have a picture together and everything. He's hella cool.
Hung out or hung out?
I think he wanted to hang out. Damn. But I put a stop to that. Yeah, it was funny. We were staying at the Jolly Ranch hotel suites, and it's all it's all inclusive. Drinks, food, whatever, whenever you want. And I remember he was like, "Hey, come up to my room and let's talk business. Let's And I was like, "Okay, cool. This is Jah Cure. You know what I mean?" And I went up to his room, and I remember he made a few passes at me, "You are really beautiful. You are really hot." And I was like, "All right, that's my cue to go." He's a really nice guy, though, and he's talented as fuck.
Yeah,
I love Jah Cure. He's awesome. He's amazing.
So what was your first show to get concert?
Before I went overseas?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
or just your first concert. Period.
My first concert, that's a good question. My first concert was actually at Juneteenth in Berkeley. Mm-hmm. And that was my first time performing in front of an audience. And I was working, I signed to this, independent label out here in Oakland called Squad Music at the time. Shout out to Will Solo. He signed me, and that's when I recorded my first album. And he said, hey, I want you to perform at Juneteenth. And they set up like a flatbed truck and stuff, but there was hella motherfuckers there. You know what I mean? There was hella motherfuckers there. And my hype man, that was his first time performing. And it was just so funny because he was like kind of dressed in like a church outfit a little bit. Like he just came back from church and he was like, okay, because it's Sunday. He was like, okay, I'm here to perform with you. And we did a good job. We did a really good job. After that, I shook hands with, everybody in the audience and passed out free CDs and stuff like that when CDs were.
Were you nervous?
Beforehand, yes. But once I got on stage and, I'm looking at people in their eyes and just watching them, bop their heads and, you know what I mean? Like being into it, like it made me less nervous. But then after that, that's when I was just like, I could do this. I could do this.
Were you rapping at the time or singing?
No, I was rapping.
Okay.
2005. That's when KedlaMuzik started rapping, and that's when KedlaMuzik was born.
Okay. So you, how long did your music career last? You're still doing music now.
It's still ongoing.
But I'm talking about like being on the record labels and stuff. Well, are you on the record label now still?
I have my own independent label now.
Okay.
So it was really popping for me during like 2007 all the way up to 2012. That's when I accomplished the most. That's when, my music was being placed on major TV film projects. And once like the industry kind of got more, I guess, overpopulated with so many artists, I kind of like dipped out a little bit and I started my own TV show. And, I was pretty much, wearing a different hat in the entertainment industry. You know what I mean? I was interviewing people of all different backgrounds. And, I used to broadcast on Coffee TV, KTSF. But my heart is always music. Like there wouldn't be any, films or TV shows or whatever if it wasn't for hip hop. You know what I mean? So hip hop really helped branch my career into other aspects of the industry. So
you were doing music. You were in the music industry, or you still are in the music industry. I still am, yeah. And then you were acting as well. You were in that industry.
Yep, still doing that, and film production.
Which industry do you think is the most cutthroat?
They're all cutthroat. I mean, the entertainment industry is cutthroat. And it has nothing to do like with the industry itself. It's just, some of the people that you meet along the way and some of the things people come at you with. I remember in 2009, after my tour in Barbados, I got invited to New York by this manager dude. He was trying to be my manager. And he was like, you could come, sleep in my basement. He was like, but I want to, introduce you to this independent record label that's on the rise. And he introduced me to dude and everything was cool. And like he took us to MTV Studios and we like no one was in there. It was like it was like a Sunday evening. Nobody was in there. And this was the time when, camera phones wasn't out, social media wasn't out. And so it's not like I could take pictures or whatever, but I'm like, damn, I'm really, in MTV Studios. And then we had lunch in one of the cafeterias.
This wasn't Harvey Weinstein, was it?
No, it wasn't Harvey Weinstein. No, I would have, don't know what I would have done. Shit. Well, I don't think he would have tried nothing on me. He would have known, like, okay. She has her guard up, like.
All right.
But we were at MTV Studios, and the guy, he was like, we're thinking of changing your style. We want to make you more like a conscious rapper. You know what I mean, or spoken word. I said, nah, it's not me. You know what I mean? That's not me. And so him and I kind of, fell out, and I told him to go crawl back into his mama's womb because he started like just telling me all these stories and all these things he could make happen for me. He was like, I could, get you your own reality show and blah, 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 just bullshitting. And so
How do you know he was bullshitting?
He's always bullshitting, yeah. But he wasn't trying to sleep with me or anything like
but
that.
how do you know he was
Oh, how did I know he was bullshitting?
Yeah.
Because none of that happened afterwards. When I flew back home, I specifically told him, when I get back home, I'm going to touch base with you and we're going to talk about me signing to your label. And because he said he had distribution with several different labels, major ones. And he was like, and then we'll talk about, producing a reality show for you. But as soon as I got back home, he just started giving me a whole bunch of bullshit, on email, like, oh, well, we're going to need to do this and that. I said, you're a lying motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, all that shit you were just saying was to just, like, make yourself bigger. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I can't stand when people say shit and don't follow through, especially, like, if you're in the business world, your word is, like, one of the most important things.
Exactly.
So when you say some shit, like, you need to do it.
That's what I'm saying. And he was just, and it's funny, we had a great time in New York. They took me to do a couple guest performances at some major venues where there were, important people, and he was just talking a big game. And then when I came back home and I wrote him and I was just like, hey, thanks for taking me to MTV Studios. Thanks for taking me to fucking New Jersey to perform out there. You know what I mean? And then, everything just kind of switched around like, okay, well, first we need to make some more different kind of music and do this and that. And it wasn't the same language we were talking when I was out there. Yeah. And so that's where I flipped. You know what I mean? And I had a habit back then of just flipping on motherfuckers, like letting them have it. You know what I mean? But telling them the truth, though, facts. Like, you are a bullshitter. You're a liar. You were probably looking at my titties the whole time. Whatever. You know what I mean? Just, just pull their cards. So, yeah.
Do you think women... Well, I know the answer to this, but do you think women get treated fairly in the music industry?
Nah, of course not.
Why do you think that is?
Well, for one, I think that, just from even back in the day, right? When you had Tina Turner, when you had Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, and then, forward, you had the Brat, you had TLC or whatever, all of them have been through situations with men where it's like, what the flying fuck? You know what I mean? I didn't sign up for this. All I want to do is music. You know what I mean? And so, women just get treated unfairly in general, right? In any industry, you know what I mean? Especially Black women. But the music industry, it was always like every time like I was trying to talk to a producer and, talk business, it was, they'd always have to reference to, what you doing later? You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. What was real? I was about to punch this guy in the face. His name, what's his name? Joe or something, whatever. But anyway, he was working for Jimmy Fox's podcast at the time when Claudia Jordan was hosting it. Okay. And this girl who I was working with was trying to get me on the show because she knew somebody who interned there, whatever. And so she actually got me in touch with the director of the show. And so he was like mad cool. And then he was like, are you coming out here for the BET Awards? I said, yeah. And so I was at the BET Awards because my friend was working the BET Awards and I, met up with him and he had me sit damn near in the front row, on the floor. And then he turns around and because whoever the host was at the time, they said, ladies, are your panties wet or whatever? And then he turned to me.
The host of the BET Awards?
Yeah. Okay. And then he turned to me and he was like, well, how wet are your panties? And I'm like, oh my God. And so I remember after that, I just didn't contact him anymore. And he was like, was this something I said? I didn't say anything too, rude or anything. I was just like, I just know what your angle is. You know what I mean? Like,
Do you think you're telling all these stories about these men making advances at you and shit like that. Do you think the women who do take these men up on their offers and then their career skyrockets, and then the women like yourself who deny it, do you think that gives that's part of the reason why these women in the industry get treated like that? Because of those types of women.
Well, I like to say every woman is different, but since there is a history, a track record of women who do give in or do the casting couch, whatever it is, it makes it more difficult for women like me. And I'm not knocking any women like, hey, you do what you want with your body. You know what I mean? Like, if you feel like this is what's gonna get you ahead and you already been fucking other people anyway, then you know what I mean? Like, that's how okay, cool. But for me personally, I'm like, nah, like, I like the struggles, the challenges, and just being able to know I can stand on my own 2 feet, and wherever I'm at, I'll be well respected and not treated differently. So,
women rappers today, I don't think there's no woman rapper today who their image is like sex sells. They got it's like Jermaine Dupri said it a while ago. He was like, all these they're basically strippers who rap. You know what I'm saying? Because they all like showing their ass, titties, and all that shit. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Because back in the day, when me and you were growing up, the women rappers, like,
Lil'
Queen
Kim.
Latifah. No, I'm talking about like Queen Latifah, like MC Light. Those women back in the day, they weren't like, I mean, they can obviously dress sexy if they wanted to. Right. But it wasn't a thing back then. Right. Now today, it seems like these women today have to dress sexy and do all that popping ass shit to sell their records.
Well, I look at it as we had Trina, we had Lil' Kim, we had Foxy. What's the difference between back then and now? It's just
because there was just 2 of them.
Well, it's just more, right, and there's just more of it today, And
even when Lil' Kim and Foxy came out, it was a big deal because, like, when Lil' Kim came out, she changed it. She was like, who before Lil' Kim was like dressing and talking like she did before her?
Right, no one.
So
yeah. I'm not against it at all. Again, I think it's all entertainment and people could take it the way they want to, but it's just kind of like any other music genre. Like, you had Marilyn Manson out, a while ago, and he was influencing, young white boys to do reckless shit. You know what I mean? So with what's happening today, if you're a good parent, you know what I mean, to your kid, or if you're just, an adult who likes to listen to this, as long as you know what you stand for, what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, it's okay to listen to that kind of music, And I've made a couple tracks like that, but it was just more of like, okay, y'all, this is, KedlaMuzik, just, giving y'all a taste of what that could be, but, this is not me. But I have no issues with that. I think all the female rappers are beautiful. Shout out to Megan Thee Stallion. She's doing her thing. She's representing, beautiful Black women that have curves, you know what I mean? And all natural curves. And, I'm a huge fan of Nicki Minaj. I mean, she was the one who reopened the door again for female rappers. Yeah. And like, she was just full of everything, sexiness, lyrics, a little cute baby girl voice. You know what I mean? So I just think you guys just all have to look at it as entertainment and just not take it so seriously, I should say.
Have you had any plastic surgery?
No.
Would you?
Would I? Maybe when I get older, yeah. And that's just natural because, as we get older, things change. Your hips don't look the same anymore or whatever. Your face. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you what I would get my plastic surgery on at all. But if I'm, really deep into Hollywood like that, still later on in my career, and I start falling off a little bit, then yeah, I'll probably get something done.
Tell me the time when, you were making music since you were a teen. Tell me the time when you realized, okay, I can make money off of this, or I made it.
Probably it was at the age of 21 when I moved to Oakland and when I cut my first hip hop record. And the reason why I say that is because one of my songs got picked up by Sony Pictures, and they placed one of my songs on their film called Please Give, starring Amanda Peet. And to me, that's just like another highlight. That's the first highlight in my career. Like, oh shit.
Were you independent then, or were you on that label you were talking about?
Independent.
Okay.
Yeah, that label didn't come until like 2008, 9. Oh no, I'm sorry, like 10, 11, because I went to Tokyo in 2012. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And then after that, you were like, okay, yeah, I'm going to start taking this like majorly seriously.
Yep, and I am actually a song that I recorded about 10 years ago just got placed on Atlanta Housewives last year, actually, right before we hit the pandemic. And I remember I was just watching Atlanta Housewives because it's one of my favorite reality shows. And, I'm watching Kenya Moore in this scene. And next thing you know, my song comes on and they play like a good portion of it. They played like the intro and then like all the way down to the mid first verse. I was like, oh shit. And, I got all my publishing and all that set up. So, it's just like, it wasn't those things where they call me and, hey, your music's going to be here. It's one of those things where it'll just pop up on your ASCAP reports.
What episode was this? Do you know?
So it was March 2019. No, I'm sorry. It was March 2020. And it was season, I'm not pretty sure, maybe season 13, I think. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. But it was right before the pandemic.
So when you how did you have a TV talk show, correct?
Yeah, so
when did this come about?
Yep, so I started the talk show in 2014, and that came from me doing Diva TV, which was a little reality series that I did in the early 2000s to promote my music. And that show was a reality series that I placed on several public access stations. Fast forward 2014, I said, hey, I want to keep this going, but more on a like professional level, because Diva TV was more like street shit. Let's go run up to rappers and talk to them and go to concerts and shit like that. You know what I mean? But then 2014 is when I created an actual talk show, and that was called Diva Talk Tonight. And that's where I had different kind of setups. I had, like a panel of people set up, and we just talk about all kind of different shit. And then, a couple special guests later. Then we do like acting skits in between. I don't know what the fuck I was trying to do. But Coffee liked it, KTSF liked it, and I...
But you created it on your own, right?
I created, yeah. I created the concept, everything. But I worked with several different directors, producers, writers, and, just to try to enhance the show. But yeah, it's my creative art. Yeah.
And is that still going on?
No, but we are working on getting the previous episodes. Like I have it's a whole season. It's 12 really, really nice professionally produced episodes. Thanks to BJTV, Rock at BJTV. He produced the hell out of the last season I did. But what we're planning to do next is get that streaming on maybe some major online networks. Okay. And not really look at TV so much, but some of these online networks like Tubi, Dove has their own channel, Netflix, obviously, Hulu, you know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of them, Fandango TV. So we're just trying to get those previous episodes broadcasted on those platforms.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, which one do you think is the hardest to do? Like, had the most challenges to you? Like the TV show, like acting, or making a record?
Which one's the most hardest? As far as creating the TV show was hard because you need a good set designer. You need when it comes to post-production, you know what I mean? You want to make sure everything looks good, whether, you had a green screen behind you and you're trying to get the right scenery behind you. For me, making music is easy. I can knock out a verse within like 15 minutes, you know what I mean? Or less. I can knock out an album within like 8 hours if I wanted to. It's just the marketing of music is, where there's a little bit of trouble. Whereas with TV, the making of TV is difficult, but the marketing of TV is pretty easy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because everybody wants to see visual content. So like, and for film production, as long as you're working with, like when I did my first short film, Love the Original Way. Like I cast my friends and I just hired this dude and a couple of people and they produced a very nice professional short film for me. And that got accepted into the Black Film Festival in Hollywood. And that was a shoo-in for me now to, go to Hollywood, to have a reason to go to LA. You know what I mean? Like, okay, cool. I'm on the red carpet talking to all these big actors and, directors and shit. Like, okay, cool. So, yeah, that's what it'd be. Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into your like childhood and shit. Because you wasn't always this diva, right?
No.
Yeah. So you are from the Bay Area originally.
Mm-hmm.
What was growing up like for you?
Well, so I was born and raised in San Jose. Mm-hmm. Not many black people in San Jose. As a matter of fact, they have a book called Being Black in San Jose. So, yeah, it was pretty...
So what, your neighborhood, when you was growing up, your neighborhood was what, mostly white or Mexican?
No, I was raised around Mexicans, Filipinos, Vietnamese, and Indians. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much all I was raised around of. Okay. And I will say this, childhood wise, it was weird because I did have a white friend next door, and I remember like all the non-black girls that lived within my community, they treated me like I was a boy because I'm black, and so to them I'm like I'm dominating to them.
Wait, all the non-black girls?
Yes.
Treated you like a boy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In my neighborhood.
Were you a tomboy?
I was a tomboy. Okay. But back then when I was a little girl, not really. I didn't become a tomboy till I was like 12, 13. Uh-huh. But when I was just a little girl, I remember just like, white girls, Hispanic girls, Asian girls, they would always, within my neighborhood, they'd always treat me like the masculine one. So like we'd play house and like I'm always the dad and somebody else is the wife because, they're just like, you're black, you're strong and you're dominating and stuff. And I'm just like, okay. But yeah, as I got older too, I just adapted to being that kind of person, a tomboy, you know what I mean? Like never really wore dresses or anything unless I'm like modeling or on set or whatever. But at school, my hair's in a bun. I'm wearing corduroy pants, Van shoes, a sports t-shirt. Yeah. My teeth were jacked up. I had braces forever.
Were your parents, both of them were together when you were growing up, or were they divorced?
As a matter of fact, they're going to celebrate their 39th anniversary in November.
Okay.
Yep.
You have siblings?
Yes. I have a younger brother. He is 30. How old is he? 33.
You guys close?
No, we're not as close as we could be. But no matter what, I love him so much. He's my baby brother. And so... although we don't communicate on a daily basis or whatever, I love him to death and I always wish the best for him. And I'm the one who normally reaches out like, hey, what are you doing? As an older sister, what do you got going on? Are you okay? So yeah. Yep.
After you graduated high school, where did your journey take you?
Yeah, so after that, I was going to move to Long Beach with my friend because her and I were going to LA like every weekend during the summer, and we were meeting with like different talent agents, booking agents, and I was trying to get signed to it was called Fontaine Entertainment, and they managed like a lot of boy bands. It was during the time when, you know, NSYNC, Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys were popping.
Like
and
early 2000s or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was trying to get in the mix. I even like auditioned for Columbia Records for a girl pop group. I did all that. And then my dad made this clear to me. He said, you're 18. He was like, I suggest, if you didn't get into a state or a university or whatever, he was like, go to City College and transfer. He was like, because if you move to LA to try to make it in this business, he was like, and when you come back, I'm going to treat you like a tenant, charge you rent. You're going to have to pay for your own meals, buy your own car and all that shit. And so I remember I was
As
like,
he
damn.
should.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And that's why I didn't go. I ended up staying home in San Jose, and I went to like 3 different city colleges. And
What were you studying?
I was studying mass communications. I wanted to be like a reporter or journalist, you know what I mean? Or, just something that has to do with like speaking. And and then after that, I transferred to University of San Francisco, moved to Oakland because it was cheaper to live in Oakland at the time, rather than living on campus at USF. And I would commute for about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you enjoy college?
No.
Why not?
Well, unfortunately, the professors at that college ruined it for me because there was this one particular professor that I ended up having him for 2 semesters. One semester was for argumentation. The next semester was for foundations of rhetoric. And he would always like reference to black people in a negative way. Like he's talking to a bunch of suburban white kids, because that's the only people that go to that school. It's a private Jesuit college, it costs like $75,000 to go there a year. And he would always bring up black people, and he'd always say negative things like, let's do a impromptu report today and talk about why athletes are not role models. And he's, obviously referring to NBA and NFL stars who, is primarily African American. Or he'll just say things like, black people always want to, rap and sing. Do they have other careers, that they want to pursue? And then what really just made me totally want to pull out is, not only were the courses getting harder, but even like the students, like whenever I try to work with the students in the group, they would leave me out. And I'm just like, okay, you guys are on some, racist shit. And the last straw for me is I had that same professor for Foundations of Rhetoric, and it was almost kind of like he was trying to educate himself. He asked the room full of white kids, hey, you guys, what's a nigga? And all these, yes. And all these white suburban rich kids from Danville, San Diego, Novato, wherever, they're just like, everyone stared at me because I'm the only black girl in the class. And I'm like, fuck. Like, I don't want to be the one that has to address this and talk about this.
Oh, man,
you know what I mean?
I would have raised so much hell.
Oh.
And I would have got paid because I would have sued the shit out of that school.
I raised hell, and I don't think he no longer works there, but yes, I wish I would have got paid. But here's the crazy part. When he, one of the students raised their hands, and they were like, because the class was just hella quiet, like, motherfucker, what kind of question is that? And, there's a black person in the room, like, what? But this one girl raised her hand. She was like, well, all my black friends call each other that, so I guess it's an African American thing. And so he went on the board, and he was like, perfect, okay. So he put nigga equals AA, nigga equals African American. And I'm like, this is just devastating. And so all that happened, and class ended, and I wrote him a very nice, strong, intelligent letter that told him about himself, how ignorant he is, how stupid he is, and how he won't have his job for long. And that got through, and he got in big trouble. Now I heard, he no longer works there.
Was it, you remember his name?
Yeah, Professor Jeff Sens.
Jeff Sens?
Yep, Sens.
Jeff Sens from USF. Fuck you, Jeff Sens. If If anybody can
Fuck
find
him.
Jeff Sims,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's get him on the show so we can talk.
Yeah.
About himself. So you left. What year was this when you left college?
About 2005. Yeah.
And was your dad disappointed of you dropping out?
Well, no, because it was expensive.
Oh, he was paying for it?
Yeah, he was paying for it, and then I was paying for it too.
Mm-hmm.
With financial aid and doing other extra work. But yeah, I was just like, okay, this is not even worth it.
Are you mad that back in your days, OnlyFans didn't exist? Because you could have got through college with that.
Well, I would tell a lot, but I can't say too much because I'm doing a TV pilot right now. But I did something similar to OnlyFans back then that was popular.
Okay, so you was on E14?
I was what?
You was on E14?
I never heard of that one.
Oh, never mind that.
No. But I was on something similar that was popular back then where young, beautiful women could make money through technology.
Okay. I kind of see where you're going with this.
Yeah. So that's how I also paid for school and my life.
Did you enjoy doing that?
Yeah. I mean, at first it was kind of like, But yeah, after a while, you're just like, this is not anything that's like happening in person or anything.
Did you consider yourself a sex worker when you were doing that?
Well, it depends how you define that, because sex worker is someone who actually has sex for a living. I wasn't having sex for a living. It was more
no, women define sex workers and all type. Like you can be an escort, you can be a fucking stripper, you can be
sure,
you can fucking work at a store that sells like sex toys and shit.
Oh, so that's even considered sex work. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess I was one.
Like, I mean, you can define it however you want, and your answer can be whatever you want. But a lot of women nowadays, anything that has to do with sex, they consider sex work.
Right. Well, then I guess I was one. Then yeah. But it was more of a you can look but don't touch.
How long were you doing that?
For about 2 years, and I was making some really good money off of that, and that's what also invested in my first album too. So a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do, but only what she feels comfortable doing.
Yeah, that's a common story with a lot of women nowadays. Especially, I feel like when women go to college, they always find themselves doing some shit like that.
You saw Players Club.
Yeah, just to go through college. Either stripping, escorting, something.
Exactly.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Like it seems like college brings that out of girls.
Mm-hmm. It does in a way, because when, for me, my parents would have paid my whole tuition if I would have went to a state college. But, my history of doing terrible in school, because school's not my thing, from being suspended, almost expelled, detentions every day, Saturday schools. When I put my mind into actually getting into a private school, like I was like, whoa, this is worth it. Like, I've turned into like an idiot to like somebody who's going to become something. Mm-hmm. So that's the only reason why I went to that school. But, leave it up to my parents. It's like, you could go to San Jose State, Cal State Hayward, have 3 meals a day, stay in a dorm, whatever. And I'm like, nah, not that there's anything against that at all. I would have done that if I would have, came straight out of high school, whatever. But I'm like, nah, I went to like 3 different city colleges, put in hella time and work. Like, let me transfer to a UC or a private college, and USF was cool at the moment because it was more of a intimate classroom type. It's like no more than like maybe like 10 people in the classroom compared to like a state college where, you're doing a presentation in front of like, 100 people or more. But, at USF, it was more like, you're just doing a presentation in front of, your professor and a couple students, and you're getting more attention for your education too. And, at the time I needed special education because, like I said, I did really bad. I didn't graduate middle school.
I mean, well, you did good enough because you got accepted into the fucking school, didn't you?
I mean, yeah, that was after City College, yeah. But I didn't graduate middle school. I, just fucked off. And I had to go to summer school, and then they handed me like a little certificate, like the last day of summer school. Like, congrats, you could go to 9th grade now.
Do you regret dropping out of college?
No. School has never been for me at all since I was a kid. Just never could get into school. Although, like if I was a different kind of person, if I didn't have so much drive to be an entertainer, I could have been probably a really good student. You know what I mean? Like, straight B's.
So you already knew where you wanted to take your life.
Exactly.
So you felt like, why am I in school wasting all this money studying something I'm not even really interested?
Yep. I didn't even go to prom.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to prom. I didn't do any of the senior activities, nothing like that. I didn't go to, I went to a couple school dances, but, no one didn't dance with me. I was just kind of like, eh. But I told myself I'm going to be a star one day. And the day I ride in a limo, it's not going to be because of prom. It's going to be because I'm going to my own concert. I'm doing something KedlaMuzik related, so yeah.
So when you left school, what did you end up doing? What was the plan? Did you already have a plan?
That's when I started. That's when I. Are you talking about when I dropped out of college?
Mm-hmm.
That's when I started rapping. Okay. That's when I started rapping, and that was in 2005. And that's when I released my first album. And from there, it's been nonstop, and again, expanding to other areas in the entertainment industry. But music will never stop for me because I love performing. I love entertaining. And I think, I have like a unique sound. You know what I mean?
What was the name of your first album?
Shut Up, Listen. Yeah. Okay. And it was for motherfuckers to shut up and listen, nigga. Shit.
Have you worked with anyone who was like, well, I don't really give a fuck about celebrities, but have you ever worked with anyone who's like famous?
Or like established. Yeah. I like to say that too, like established or well known.
I mean, because everyone is a celebrity in their own.
Right, exactly. Tell me about it. I worked with yes, let's do it. Sorry. I work with Numbskull from the Loonies. He was on my second album called Diva. And it was a song called Excuse Me. And I had actually all my friends on that song, all my hip hop friends on that song. But yeah, that was probably, the biggest collaboration that I ever had. And that was, 2007. Okay. But moving forward now, aside from the music and TV and film and stuff, I work behind some of these celebrities too, like rapper Kafani. I work with him. And then behind the scenes, I work with Loonies, for booking purposes and stuff. So, as far as collaborating with major artists, I'd say it happens more often behind the scenes rather than like on wax, or
Have you
shows.
Ever, work with someone who you haven't met and thought the world of, and then when you meet them and start working with them, you find out they're assholes?
Yeah.
Who is this person?
All right. Well, one of them, it was at the NBA All-Stars that took place in Vegas at the time. Okay. And that was the first time they had the All-Stars in Vegas. And that was when...
So this was like recently, I think, right? This was recently?
No. The NBA All-Star in Vegas, they had that in 2010. I don't know, 2011, 2009, around there. Mm-hmm. But it was Vegas's first time hosting the NBA All-Stars. And so there was black motherfuckers everywhere. And it was popping. It was great. Nobody got arrested, no fights or anything. And I was working with, Puffy's publicist, Bad Boy Entertainment's publicist. This publicist I was working with. And me and my team reached out to her and we're like, hey, we work with KedlaMuzik and she has her own little reality series called Diva TV. Is there a chance she could, come on the red carpet and interview artists and stuff like that? And she was like, come on. And so I came, and the artist that really disappointed me was T.I. Like he was kind of being bum rushed by media because that was when before he got in all that legal trouble, he was popping, you know what I mean? And he was kind of on his
the king of the South time.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so I was just like, okay. I was like, okay, whatever, paparazzi, all the media were bum rushing him right when he arrived on the red carpet. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm cute in this gold dress, gold braids or whatever. I'm like, what's up, T.I.? And I remember he just kind of threw the hand up at me. He was like, hold on, little mama. And I was like, and then he didn't even give anybody the time of day. Like he just like walked through and went in. He didn't like do any press or anything like that. Not compared to what he does now.
Oh my God, that is nothing.
Right. And then another time, well, no, actually, it was the same weekend at the NBA All-Star, games. Rest in peace to Biz Markie. I love him. But yeah, when we went inside the venue and they allowed me to go on stage, just to whatever. And he was DJing and I would say that it was my fault. He's DJing, he's trying to rock the crowd, and I'm like, hey, can we get you on Diva TV real quick? And he was just like, and I was like, oh, okay.
While he was DJing?
Yeah. And so that's why I was like, what do you expect? He's DJing, he's spinning right now. You know what I mean? He's trying to get the crowd all hyped up. But yeah, I remember I just felt a little like, oh, okay. Like when someone holds their hand up and they're just like, get out of my face. I'm like, damn, I could be a man or a woman. Just, they wouldn't give a fuck. Like, get out of my face. But
they're serious about their craft.
Right, exactly. And, shout out to Biz Markie, rest in peace. You know what I mean? We lost another legend. But at least I got to stand on stage with him, and I got some pictures of him or whatever. But no, we didn't get to do an interview or anything. So that kind of sucked. But yeah.
Do you think it's harder to make it in the Bay Area than it is, let's say, like New York or LA?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially when the hyphy movement was popping, because it was just like a select few of artists that really had a chance to become mainstream.
Yeah, and that hyphy movement, I think it didn't reach across the country.
No.
Because not everyone, I'd say the only people who are interested in Bay Area rap are people from the Bay Area.
The Bay Area, right.
And then when Bay Area rappers make it, they don't sound like Bay Area rappers. You know what I'm saying? Like G-Eazy. Who else? That's probably it. That's the only one I can think of. Kehlani, probably. They don't sound like Bay Area rappers.
Yeah.
So.
Right. No, I feel you, because once you get a deal, you have a whole different team behind you now. And these people are looking at your marketing on a global scale. How would people in Poland feel about you? People in, Australia, you know what I mean? So yeah, they gotta kind of pick through your music differently. But yes, coming from the Bay, it is pretty hard. I mean, yes, you have her, you have Kehlani, you have Keisha Cole.
Yeah, her, yeah.
You have quite a few artists, and then now you have Saweetie, you know what I mean, who's doing her thing. Shout out to Saweetie, she's gorgeous and talented. I love Saweetie.
Saweetie sounds like she's from like Atlanta or some shit.
Yeah, she kind of has a little, twang going on.
Yeah, her, you would never know that she was from Berkeley. You would think she's from I don't know. I would think that she was from the UK or some shit.
Oh, really? I thought she was from the South Bay.
No, she's from Berkeley.
Oh, she's from Berkeley. Oh, okay. That's where she get the swag from. See? Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I love Saweetie. And as a matter of fact, Kafani, Saweetie just covered Kafani's song, Fast Like a NASCAR. She remade it. And now that's getting launched into all kind of different, brands and products and stuff like that. So, shout out to her for holding the Bay down right now as a female rapper. You know what I mean? Because during the hyphy days when I was trying to really push through, there was opportunities I had and I took them, but just again, no one didn't know what to do with the female rapper. It was more like, you'd be a burden on us because we'd have your record recorded or whatever, but then we'd have you sitting up here collecting dust. We wouldn't know what to do with you. But then when Nicki Minaj came out, it was like all kind of shit started popping. I started getting invited to the Caribbean. I started getting more music licensing placements on Bad Girls Club, MTV Real World. And then that's when I got invited to perform in Tokyo, and the same venue that I performed at, which was the Zeppelin Theater. She just performed there the week before that. And then Lady Gaga performed the week after. And so I'm just like, oh shit, I'm really in the mix. Damn. You know what I mean? But it was hard during the hyphy movement days. And, I met with radio stations and everything like, hey, can you guys play my record? This is a hot record. I know it's a hot record because the public told me. And, I had certain radio station people tell me, no, like, you're not a branded artist. There's a hole in your marketing. We've never heard of you. We don't care how many times you got placement or you've been overseas, whatever. You're not a signed major artist. And so, yeah, that's what it was.
Why haven't you made that, the move to like LA or New York or something?
I know that's what people ask me, because I feel nowadays, now that we have access to technology and we're able to do whatever we want, it really doesn't even matter anymore. People are making money off of doing TikTok videos, YouTube videos, you know what I mean? And it's so
I
it's
can't
like
stand those fucking TikTok dancers.
Nah.
Can't stand that shit.
I was heavy on TikTok for a while, but then like I don't know. I think I kind of just like made myself sick of watching all the
Same
videos.
fucking dance for every single goddamn song.
Yeah, well, it's a challenge. That's what people do so they could get more likes and followers and stuff. But I just feel nowadays you don't need to move to any of these places unless there's like a invitation for you. And that's why I always looked at it. Like I've never been the type, oh, let's just go up and move to LA or New York or wherever because that's where I'm going to make it big. Like been there, done that. When I was in high school, I was going to take the proficiency test to get out of school early so I could move with my manager off Lake Gresham Boulevard in Hollywood to try to go on go-sees and auditions and stuff. And that didn't work out. And that was just a week being in Hollywood. And I'm just like, damn. And then, like I said, when I tried to move out there with my friend to Long Beach to pursue it again, I'm like, damn. I'm like, nah. I was like, I know I'm doing the right thing by staying in the Bay. And, sure enough, being a girl from San Jose, I came to Oakland and I put the city of Oakland on TV. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was on public access, but I still put a lot of rappers on TV, a lot of female artists, a lot of models, everything, going to clubs, covering events. And, that's why I had a lot of support when I recorded my third album called Diva TV, because I, kind of made that as a soundtrack to the reality show. And all of the artists that I've ever had on my show, I had them on the album doing a collaboration with them. So I'm always like a, out the box thinker, you know what I mean? Just trying to do something different.
What are you most proud of in your career?
Quite a bit actually. I'm about to be even more prouder soon. I would say, going to Tokyo and getting my music placed on major platforms. Yeah, those are like the highlights in my career, I would say.
How long were you in Tokyo?
A week.
A week? Yeah. And you went out there strictly to perform?
Yes, that's all it was for. It was an entertainment promotions company. They were Africans. I forgot what part of Africa they were from. I think they were from Ghana. And they moved to Tokyo to start an entertainment company and book major artists and venues. And they were pretty successful. I don't know what they're doing now. I haven't heard much of them now, but at the time they were bringing out Flo Rida, Chris Brown, any major pop artist you can name. And then when they brought out Lloyd and Kid Ink and Young Chris at the time, I was, dealing with one of the promoters, and he introduced me to them and my team to them, and they were just like, well, damn, we don't have a female artist on this on this ticket at all. We don't have a female singer, rapper, nothing. They were like, all right, Diva, because that's, my little alias I go by. They're like, Diva. They're like, all right, come on board. You can bring one person with you. They paid for everything. And, I got paid, got a lot of exposure, PR, made a lot of, Japanese fans. And it was just a blast. It was just so much. I mean, if you go on YouTube and just look up KedlaMuzik Diva, you'll see a couple performances of me on stage. And then afterwards, it was like a lot of fan love. Like, it was crazy. Like, the promoter took me off stage, and I got to like meet with the fans, shake hands, and everyone started giving me hugs, and I was giving them CDs and stuff. Like, I was like a queen. That's why I made the song "Queen for a Night," because I'm like, this is like perfect. And it was just me and this other little hype guy who was performing on stage with me, and I killed it. Everyone loved me. They loved me, and I don't know if I'll ever feel that experience again anytime soon, considering not many people are going out to events right now, and hip hop is not really the same. The generation, all that has changed. You know what I mean? But back then, it was nice. But don't get me wrong, I still get a lot of love when I do shows. I did a show yesterday for Menace Man in Frisco at Midway, and I got a lot of love there. And
you're still actively performing?
Oh yeah.
But most of your energy is going toward the reality TV show and all that?
I would say content producing. So I'm in the midst of actually filming a 30-minute pilot based on my career. So we're working on casting a younger KedlaMuzik, like KedlaMuzik when she was 19, and then KedlaMuzik when she was 5, and then KedlaMuzik when she was, 25. And then myself, I'll make a couple of appearances throughout the show. Like, I'll probably play KedlaMuzik's mother, you know what I mean? And act like my real mom. But that right now is the main focus, is to film this pilot and to get it picked up to be a series on any of these major platforms that are popping online right now.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm still performing and doing collaborations with artists on a music level too. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a time where you can promote yourself. I mean, you've been promoting yourself throughout this interview, but if you want to say something specific about what you're working on, where they can find your music, if you want to give out your social media handles and all that.
Yeah. You guys could hit me on my new revamped website, KeldaMuzik.com. That's KELDAMUZIK.com. From there, you'll find all my social media handles, and you'll get to hear all my music, watch some of the independent films that I've been in, such as Devil in Plain Sight. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention, a film that I was in like 2018, premiered at the Sundance Film Festival earlier this year. And they're going to do a couple more other premieres too. It's a real film. It's a major independent film. So I'm looking forward to doing more films. Right now I'm podcasting. You know what I mean? Just me and my divas.
Yeah, what's the name of your podcast?
Diva Talk Tonight, the podcast show. So there's Diva Talk Tonight, the TV show, which I retired from, and I just changed everything to Diva Talk Tonight, the podcast show. So yeah, you'll be able to see all that on my website, KeldaMuzik.com.
What do you guys talk about on the podcast?
Everything. And we need to have you on the podcast too.
Me?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm kind of like a mysterious person, you know what I'm saying?
You're not. You're like behind the scenes. You don't really want to be like out in the forefront.
I'll do the podcast.
Yeah, no, you should. You definitely should. We just interview anybody, and then we start talking about current events and, the tea, the gossip, whatever. And we just have fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dope. Where you guys filming at?
We do it live on Instagram. So we're all at home.
Okay.
And we just go live.
Like a virtual thing?
A virtual?
Like no one's in the same...
Right, exactly. It's all, Instagram Live. When you go on Instagram Live, you're at your house, I'm at my house, or wherever I'm at, and we just all join live.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's an easy way to do it.
Exactly. Yes.
All right, KedlaMuzik. It was an honor learning about you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Very talented woman.
Thank you.
With a hand in every hat that you can think of. I wish you much success, continued success, and everybody who's listening, go on our Instagram, check her out, check out her music, stream it.
Thank you.
Watch her movies. Like look forward to her TV show that's going to get picked up. Some good vibes.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. You have any last words?
Thank you so much for having me, and I enjoyed the interview, and much more power to you and all your endeavors.
Yeah. This is Everyday Celebrity Podcast, and we are out. You.
Ow.